everybody, welcome to, oh my goodness, I don't have my light on, baby. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to this Sunday night episode of Voice Crypto. We are diving on in the charts, and if you guys are with me, over with me on X, I stopped on my Ondo trade, and this weekend has been painful. If you guys have been watching the charts, man, these past 2 days, right, Bitcoin has fallen less than 1% and has just been stealing money from the altcoins. It has been, let me pull up Total 3 here really quick just to give you guys a synopsis of what I'm looking at. Look at Total 3 over this weekend. This is the 1 hour chart, just straight bleeding over ever since we closed on Friday. We have bled, no substantial recovery bounces, nothing, and we've been kind of forming this falling channel right here. But it's a lot stronger than you would expect with Bitcoin trading around where it is. Just shows the strength of Bitcoin dominance right now. That is painful to the downside. And if you've been holding alts this weekend, this chop city, baby, this chop city to the downside, you were not able to get any substantial reversals or bounces out of this. Now on Total 3, something that I am seeing here, if we do pull our fib, you're coming down to a key zone. That 786, you got the reaction off of it. Let's see if that's enough to hold. But with how Bitcoin dominance has been screaming to the upside, I can't say for 100% certainty that it will. I want to give a special shout out to everybody in the chat here that is joining me right off the ringer, baby. Right off the ringer, we got April, Wanda, and MH. Thank you guys for being here. Drop your coins in the chat. What do you guys want to go over? This is going to be a little bit of a shorter stream. Sunday night, everybody. It's going to be really quiet until the agent section does pick up with their volume, and they've just had a chance to digest the news that did come out on Friday, which was that the United States has added an additional 70,000 non-farm jobs to our essentially the U.S. balance sheet of jobs, right? So that gives Fed Chair Jerome Powell this week a lot of ammunition coming in, and not in a good way, right? We want to see rate cuts in order for any of these assets to kind of take off and fly, with the exception of Bitcoin, which has been doing it on its own regardless. But man, we really need to see a quantitative easing environment if we want a thriving bull market to continue. It's just a reality. It's where we sit right now. So what are we looking at here for Bitcoin as we go into this upcoming week? We had that breakout of the bull flag, a very strong bullish candle on that Thursday. We had volume and everything coming on in. We have been overbought on the daily, almost the entire back half of April, and that just shows when stochastics get pinned in these overbought regions, you can stay there for a long amount of time. Now we're coming back into the fair value. Let's see if we can get that curvature off of the retest of this bull flag. The measured move of this bull flag does take you back to, yes, the all-time highs at about 106,000. We do have a CME gap that has formed on Friday, coming in here at about $96,900. Wouldn't be shocked if in the next 2 days we do see a move up to that level. That will be very nice for Bitcoin, digital assets across the board, and even here on the smaller time frame. Wow, what a dumpage for Bitcoin. We had about $1,000 dump in the last 5 minutes. Look at that capitulation to the downside. Did something just open? No, 1800. Yeah, that's a little surprising. You got a massive capitulation wick to the downside for Bitcoin here, as a lot of these stop losses that have formed throughout the day have they got stopped, right? Man, it's just been constant bleeding this weekend. That's a wild candle right there. I'm not sure exactly what just happened. Maybe some kind of news came out somewhere, somehow. But yeah, that is massive for BTC, that drop to the downside. Let's see if we get that recovery real quick and eat up that giant 15-minute candle that just formed. Wow, we've been trending in this range the entire day, almost the entire weekend, just to have it dumped off in about 3 minutes right there. That's crazy. It speaks to the volatility of digital assets, baby. And here we are on this Sunday night. We're trying to hold this 1 hour 200 SMA, and even Bitcoin seeing here bleeding. But you have to understand that Bitcoin did not bleed near as bad as the altcoins, baby. Oh my gosh, we started to roll. Sui, Walrus, SEI, taking some of the bigger hammers right here. Ondo back to 86. Wow, we were just getting a little bit of a pump a lump for Ondo. That's pretty wild. So yeah, we are in a little bit of a pickle right here. We're in a little bit of a pickle. Let's see if we could get that this candle back up and running back over that 1 minute 200 SMA. Oftentimes when these big candles come to the downside, they're eaten up by those whales that like to take advantage of despair in the market. Let's see see in the event? Let's see. Anytime you want to go look over our recent news, all you gotta do is type in the $ BTC, baby, over here on X, and you're gonna hit latest, baby, latest. And let's see if anything, yeah, okay, people saying some real smart stuff right there, yeah. Yeah, massive crypto. Oh, the futures just opened. Futures open, we got that massive dump. Yeah, so that's wild. Yeah, some people take out these scalp trades. To me, that's pretty wild, but congrats on that guy for hitting that. Wow. What a sell-off as futures markets begin to open here for BTC, and we continue to sell off here as we go on into the stream. Boys, crypto starts streaming and we start dumping, baby. Not a good sign. All right, diving on in. Let's dive on into the chat and get into the hot altcoins you guys want to look at through as we go on into this evening. Wow, I cannot get over that dumpage there for Bitcoin just on futures open. That's crazy. The volatility of the space, absolutely crazy, and you're going to see it as we dive on into these altcoins. Wanda wants to look at virtual. Absolutely, virtual is one of the hottest projects in the game right now in AI. Woo, we're not looking there. Virtuals on perpetuals on Binance. All right, so here we go, Wanda. All right, so virtuals had a meteoric run, right? And it had a meteoric run, much like SUI, meteoric run, likely going to be some cool off here in the near term. Wouldn't be surprised if you made some kind of flag, whether that's a horizontal flag or a downward sloping flag. We do not know, but I think that is very, very likely as the 21 comes up to catch price action. I think that is more likely than not here for virtuals in the near term. Dollar cost averaging in, right? If you want to do some layers in down here as you suspect the flag to start forming out, I don't think that would be necessarily a bad idea, Wanda, but this is what I'm looking at here. It's very unlikely that the chart, this is why we can't chase green candles here on the charts. Why? Because you don't see chart, like, would this have made sense to just keep going up like that, right? Like it doesn't normally happen for crypto, right? It's just not something, I mean, in markets in general, it's not something that happens too often. So yeah, we do have a potential cup and handle forming here for virtuals. Yes, for virtuals, you have that nice cup, sideways handle, downward sloping handle. Could be any way. We'll have to see how this asset responds to the market open. And, you know, it's a lot like SUI. Like SUI right now is getting beat down a little bit, right? Sitting around 330 or so, 328. Yeah, so SUI's sitting at about 328 and doing as we suspected, right? Consolidating above that daily 200 SMA. We did wick below it today, right? We did wick below it, and I wouldn't even be surprised if that was not too long ago. No, yeah, so we are still consolidating above the daily 200 SMA. I have this flag idea here. I'm looking for a bounce. We had the daily stochastics coming down, Wanda, and we're beneath this high volume node right here, an area that we could not reclaim here for SUI. The 21 coming up in the price action. I don't think we have anything to worry about for SUI. Yes, you can still have a little bit of correction. Even if you had a 618786 golden pocket Fibonacci, that would take you back down here to $2.54. To me, if you missed out on SUI at $2.54 again, this is likely going to be the catapult to higher prices, in my opinion, if that market does give us that opportunity. So we will see as we go on into this week, Wanda. I think SUI's likely going to continue sideways this week as the market determines its bias. And ultimately, I think a lot of markets are going to be trading sideways until Fed Chair Jerome Powell comes out and speaks on Wednesday, baby. On Wednesday, we have our U.S. economic calendar. Jerome Powell does come out. Jerome Powell does come out on Wednesday at 2 o'clock and speak. The market's going to be absolutely crazy from 2 o'clock to about 3 o'clock. Honestly, from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The FOMC meeting does have a major impact on markets across the world. So I think virtuals, I think every altcoin in the game, I think all your digital assets, whatever you're looking at, is going to be heavily affected by what Jerome Powell says coming out here on May 7th, on Wednesday. That's going to be huge news for the market, and I'm very much looking forward to tuning on into that. So yeah, virtuals looks totally fine, Wanda. Virtuals looks good. Of course, dumping with Bitcoin, right? And you can see this. It's crazy, right? 3 red candles, right? And then on Bitcoin, you had those 3 red candles here on the perpetuals, 1, 2, 3, and yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully Bitcoin can get this bounce, and that's crazy. A $500 move was something to take the entire crypto space across the board from, completely green. We were green, and then 2 red, right? Just a couple minutes. It's wild, the volatility of this space, man. It's absolutely crazy. The 15-minute pretty deep red here, getting a lot of 1% corrections, despite Bitcoin only dropping a couple $100. So that's very interesting to me. Very, very interesting. Let's dive on into the charts, baby. MH wants to look at VRA. I can do that for you, my friend. VRA, diving on into the week. On the perpetual, same thing. Look at this, responding to Bitcoin's dump. It's like clockwork. It's every asset. Isn't it strange how every asset does that? I don't know. It gives me a weird feeling, man. It gives me a weird feeling. So VRA getting that massive pump a lump, baby, over the course of the weekend. Low liquidity, but VRA does not care. Got that move out of the bull flag. A little bit of a trap there to get people to close their positions, and then boom, to the upside. The daily stochastics are curving to the downside. I am by no means bearish on this project in any way, shape, or form. And I don't even know much about the project, but you do have a point of control coming up here at about 12. Ooh, no, you don't. No, you don't. Let me zoom on out here. Let me get an updated VRVP for you, my brother. All right. Yeah, you have a massive point of control. Honestly, not even point of control, but support resistance flip that you are currently sitting at right now. This is a key zone you want to get above. Look at this, has been support, 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 support. And now you're coming up to test it as it was resistance once, and now it's resistance again. So you want to see us crack above this, preferably go and test the daily 200 MA. And even if you get rejected, that would be the point where I would be interested in taking a position and looking for higher prices in the event that we can reclaim that support resistance flip. You reclaim that, you could pretty much infer, like you could pretty much put yourself in the shoes of you catching support down here and riding these waves to the upside. That's exactly what you want to do here for VRA, in my opinion. That's what I'd be waiting for. You have had a massive amount of green candles. If it's gonna run, I would let it run. I would let it run and get above this support resistance flip, and then I know my high probability zones for catching those juicy setups. So yeah, that support resistance flip looking very, very good on the daily. I'd look to get above, potentially reject at the daily 200 or one of these high volume nodes sitting on in here, and then get in on this support resistance flip. You break through it, confirm it as support. That would be the beautiful bottom entry for you for VRA. That's what I'm looking at, MH. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah, so VRA looking pretty good, and honestly, compared to a lot of the coins this week, like this weekend, VRA pumped over the course of the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, you got a pump here for VRA, up about, since we closed on Friday, about 15%. That's rare to see in the altcoin market that has been struggling massively. The entire altcoin market has just been bleeding like you would not believe. It is absolutely wild. So yeah, futures opening, whenever futures opens, that just means options contracts become available to people, right? Especially on over in Asia. Futures contracts can be exchanged on a lot of different exchanges. You could infer this as potentially a bear flag here forming on the 1 minute time frame. And I don't like trading the 1 minute, man. I used to, but now I'm becoming more of a long-term swing trader. It's just something that I enjoy. I like my odds a little bit better. I don't have to keep my eyes peeled on the charts all the time while I live my life, right? So very, very important to me. Very important to me. Let's see what Bitcoin dominance did during that move. It probably skyrocketed, I'll bet. Yeah, you did have a little bit of a you had a little bit of a dump and then a pump. So we'll see how that ends up for Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, where was the bell? Right here. So Bitcoin dominance did fall here. You're at the 5 minute, but Bitcoin dominance, man, look at this. This has been absolute craziness to the upside. That bearish div did not play out. I don't remember what time frame we were looking at. Oh, the 4 hour. That bearish div did not play out. That wick invalidated it. So we could scrap that idea. Every time Bitcoin dominance forms bearish div, it just seems like it does not want to give. And now you could be like, hey, boys, crypto, I'm seeing a bit of a bull flag. And I would say, I have to agree with you. I'm not saying that this is where price is going to go, but man, you could infer that this is a bull pennant right here, and this may take you all the way up to the 618-786 golden pocket Fibonacci, baby, or at least close to it here on the weekly. I think it's sitting at about 66.5. But yeah, that target would take you up close to there. Let's take this from the swing high to the swing low. We are currently sitting in the golden pocket here for Bitcoin dominance. Very important to understand that we are sitting in that golden pocket. Historically, an area where price does get a reaction to the downside. But as you notice, like we got that reaction right from the golden pocket, and Bitcoin dominance just continues to truck through, getting to that high confluence zone of the 786 at about 66%. Can we see that rollover? Can we see that downturn? You know, if you're an altcoin holder, you gotta hope so. You gotta hope so. You gotta look for a rejection here out of this inverted cup and handle on the weekly. This has been a monumental 2-year uptrend that has not been shaken at all, besides this little dump a lump that we had here during President Trump's inauguration. So that was like a mini alt season. Are we gonna get that again? It's hard to say. It really is hard to say. I want to start seeing Bitcoin dominance roll over, and it's got to be soon. It's got to be soon. We're already over the 706 and we're approaching the 786. If Bitcoin dominance is gonna reverse, it needs to be, it's getting close to a now or never scenario. And if Bitcoin dominance does crack the 786, to me, I'm gonna shift my focus to being a little more Bitcoin maxi. I'm gonna have to, because you're gonna go and test these highs. You crack these highs, you may come up to an 80-90% Bitcoin dominance. And what would your altcoin be worth, you know, if it was just worth 10% of the crypto space? I couldn't say, right? So is this rest in peace for altcoins? I'm not gonna go with that notion until we close a weekly candle about 66%, but we're sitting at 64.89, and this train does not look like it's stopping anytime soon. I have to speculate it based off of TA and the golden pocket, which is where we currently sit. But I digress. We'll have to see. I did see Quant, MH. I did see Quant. Quant was moving to the upside very, very, very violently here. And look at that. Not really even phased by the Bitcoin dump, eating up the wick. Looks pretty good. Yeah, you got that dump a lump. And Quant doing okay. Look at this on the daily, coming up to test that area that you guys know is my definition of being a bull versus a bear, baby. You get above that daily 200 SMA and you can be gone. Look what happens when you go to a daily 200 SMA. Get over, boom. What happened the last time? You get over, yeah, it's a consolidation, right? Made a little bit of a flag, but that was the first sign of strength for Quant out of this. Could be something similar to what you're seeing right now. Right, you have a little bit of consolidation after a monumental move. Do these moves not look very, very similar? You have a monumental move, likely to consolidate, maybe around the daily 200 SMA, and I don't know what the node was looking like then, but it looks like it was the point of control, and you're coming up to that point of control as we speak at about $100. I think Quant could do some massive damage. I like the project. I did do a price prediction video right earlier on in, I think it was like 2 months ago or so, but for Quant, check that out if you guys want to know where I think Quant's going, a little bit of a deeper dive into the project. But yeah, you did get a little bit of a triple bottom here. 1, 2, 3, and then you're getting that reversal to the upside. Your next resistance zone is going to be that point of control sitting here at about 101. Your prior highs, which are sitting here at about 136, and then your all-time high, which is going to be coming back here at about 172 for Quant on the weekly, and you haven't been there since before December of 2022. Very, very interesting for a project that I think could do some major damage this cycle. Quant, baby, Quant, looking good to the upside. That weekly candle, one of the strongest that we've seen, and even as Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoin seasons come back, Quant has taken off in dominance, I'll bet. Quant dominance, quant.d. Do we have that on the charts here? Tasmania. Quant dominance. No, we don't have quant dominance here on the charts. But yeah, if you're looking at Quant, it's doing some serious damage coming up here to press on that daily 200 SMA. You cannot say that about a lot of the altcoins in the space right now. Very, very interesting. So shout out to any of you guys that are in Quant. Wanda wants to look at HBAR. HBAR, absolutely, Wanda. HBAR, one of the hottest coins in the game that responded very, very positively. That XRP narrative that hit us earlier on in the year. You're currently touching that 3-hour 200 SMA. Man, this is what it's been like for the weekend. Where we close. We closed up here. You had a closure up here on Friday at 2000, right around 8 o'clock at night, and you just bled since then. And it's been like this for all the altcoins. Very, very strange to see. You did catch a little bit of a double bottom there, Wanda. Let's see if we could get the reversal. Triple bottom 1, 2, 3. The bears have not shown any sign that they could get through that level, and there's a high volume node that is forming right here that is saving you right now. So that's very interesting. Stochastics are reset on the 4-hour. How's it looking on the daily? Daily still has room to come down. You want to see that 21 potentially hold, and you're at a key support resistance flip area. Resistance, 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 support, resistance, 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 support, support. This is your support again. Let's see if that can hold. Very interesting that it's in a gap in the VRVP. You don't often see that. So it shows that there's often high volatility when you get into these ranges. Look at this. This was a Saturday as well. A Saturday was what got you down to gap through and get to the next high volume node. So we'll see how that plays out for H-bar, baby. For H-bar, I think this thing can do some serious damage this cycle. You have to wonder, though, like, are the coins that there's going to be winners and losers this cycle? Like, this thing's already multiplied, right, by, you know, what, by 3x? Our coins are... Right, so you're coming down to a key 618786, are you not? You probably are. From swing low to swing high, you almost got to the 786. That may have gotten front ran a little, and it did. So is H-bar going to see new highs? I think it's definitely possible. There's one thing's for sure, everybody. This season is not like we've seen before. We have not seen an alt season like, or even like a Bitcoin season. We have not seen a crypto market like this before. It's absolutely crazy to see. Like, even as Bitcoin like makes a little bit of a bounce, still things sitting down 2%, 1%, 2% from where they were. That's absolutely crazy over the course of the hour. We want to see a little bit of a comeback here, and the day turning red. Bitcoin slipping 0.5% in some of the hottest coins in the game. FET, IMX, EOS, ENS, Near, Sonic, Hyperliquid, all slipping by 5. Quant, one of the only winners, and BitTensor as well, or BitTorrent screaming to the upside. That's pretty crazy, and a lot of altcoins just sitting flat. But whenever Bitcoin's been falling, the dumps have been massive for altcoins. Whenever Bitcoin's been pumping, the dumps have kind of been lackluster. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The pumps have been lackluster, and we gotta wonder if Bitcoin is really gonna take over and show why it's the king of all assets here. And I don't want to say alts are scam coins, because they're not, but how many are really gonna be here in 10 years? Do we need these projects? It's just something that I've been thinking about. Do we need these projects? I don't know, right? Like, you'll see a lot of these swapping places. Very, very interesting as we go on in to the week. Very, very interesting. But yeah, everybody, that's what I'm seeing in the market today. There's really not much more to go over this weekend. This week, everything that kind of comes up on Monday, Tuesday, really nothing burger comparatively to Wednesday, the FOMC meeting that is coming out with Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaking on inflation. The whole world is going to be listening to that. So very important that we stay tuned and we lock on in during that time. Crazy, this 4-hour candle for BTC just turned around in just a few minutes. Its futures open. Let's see if we can get those. Let's see if those whales step in and take some of those shorts that definitely opened up. You don't see moves like that very, very often on Sunday night. So we'll have to see what we're going into. We'll see what we're going into this week. I'm kind of a little out of it, kind of flabbergasted by the market. Honestly, I'm just surprised to see the altcoins continuing to struggle here, especially some of the hotter coins in the game. Like, you just had news coming out on Ondo. You just had news coming out on Ondo today or yesterday or the day before, where the SEC was stepping in, or they were having meetings with the SEC, and you're sitting 20% below where you were during that announcement. And it's just strange to me. You know, you got that announcement, you got the pump, and now what? Just nothing? Are we going back to the lows? Are we going below that? Are we going to 50 cents, sub 50 cents? Is Ondo washed? I don't know. It's just something I'm interested in. And honestly, I'm frustrated, guys. I'm frustrated with these altcoins. They've just been lackluster comparatively to Bitcoin. And I'm very happy for my Bitcoin holdings, how they've been performing, but it makes me question of whether or not I should even have an altcoin bag, right? Like, it makes me question that. So, you know, just something to think about. Food for thought. But that's what I'm looking at, everybody. Hey, it's going to be a short show tonight. I'm going to cut this off. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for being here. I will be here with you guys tomorrow night to bring things hot off the press live for you as the Asian markets respond and U.S. markets start to open here on Monday. Let's see if we get a little bit of a squeeze to the upside. Much love, everybody. Thanks for tuning in with me here tonight on this shorter stream. I'm going to be diving on into the charts and trying to figure out what is going on here with a lot of these altcoins. Crazy Virtual's taking a beat down too, back to 164. So yeah, it's going to be a crazy week, everybody. Jerome Powell coming out on Wednesday. That's the hot news of the week. I look forward to bringing it all to you guys here fresh off the press. I will see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Until then, boys, crypto is out, baby. We are out. Much love. Enjoy your Sunday night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to my Sunday night market update.